All right, so now we need to set up a score. Earlier, we worked in the world settings, but if you go to Window, World Settings, go here, you're going to see our selected game mode, where we already set our default pawn class. We need to create a player controller class. Let's go ahead and hit the plus button. Instead of blueprints, we'll call it BP player controller, and hit save. Now the point of the player controller is to hold some basic values like our score, things like that. We go to our event graph. Down here in the bottom right, you're going to see variables. Go ahead and hit the plus button, and let's do score. Call it score. And we'll set the type to be an integer. So a score is a variable that can be changed. You can update it and modify it, but you can use it in place in a program without having to hard code the value. So it'll change dynamically as the game works. And it is an integer type, meaning that it's a number, a whole number. Let's drag score onto our event graph, and we'll do set score. And on event begin play, we'll set the score to 0. So the score will always start at 0. I'm going to hit save and compile. And there we go. Now, this doesn't do anything yet. Let's go ahead and fix that. First thing we need to do is create a new UI. So I'm going to go to my content drawer, and I'll go to my content folder, right click, new folder, and I'll call it widgets. Double click that, or right click, user interface, widget blueprint. And this will be a user widget, and we'll call it WB score UI. And open that up. Now this is our UI editor. Don't worry too much about this. We're not going to spend much time on it. And I know I'm going through this really quick, but this is more just set up for the game to work. And we'll get into more detail on all that later. For now, just kind of follow along. In the palette, let's go ahead and search for canvas and drag a canvas panel into here. I'll clear that out. This is going to be the screen size, the screen space. I'll grab text and drag it into my scene. Over the details panel, I'll call this score text block and turn on is variable. Click that. And now the content down here, let's change this to score :space 0. I'll increase the font size so it's easier to see. And I'll change the color of mine to an orange, but you can change yours to whatever you want it to be. Now, for our anchors up here, click on that, hold down the shift button and select this top middle one, and then hold down for you Control or Command on a Mac and press it again. And this centers it and aligns it to the middle of our screen. Then finally, justification down here at the bottom, change that to align center text. Now we have score. Compile and save. Great. But this isn't doing anything yet. It's not even in our game yet. So let's go back to our test map. And here we have HUD class. Go ahead and hit the plus button next to HUD. And I'll call this, first I'll put it in blueprints, and I'll call it BP my HUD. Click save. Now instead of my HUD, which is going to be the heads up display, it's going to own the game menus and stuff like that. I'll go to event graph, and I'm going to, on event begin play, I'm going to drag here and I'll do create widget. And I'll set the class to be my web score UI, WB score UI. Then for returning value, I'm going to drag out and then click on promote to variable. And I'll call this score UI widget. This makes it so we can reference the score UI widget later. it just stores it. Then from set, we're going to drag off here and we'll do add to view port. And we'll connect this here. And that's it. Again, we just did a lot. I know, it's fine. This is not really program stuff. This is specific to Unreal stuff. So just kind of follow along with it. Click on compile and hit save. And then finally, press play. We now have score 0 on our screen. The issue is though, we can't update it. When we hit something, we don't get points. So we're gonna have to fix that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up our WB Score UI to have the ability to update its own text. So I'll go to, up here on the top right, you should see Designer and Graph. Click on Graph. Inside of our event graph, we'll right click in our node editor and we'll do custom event and add custom event. We'll call this update score text. This is a event just like event construct or event tick, anything like that. This is a custom one. With this selected, let's create some input for this and we'll set the input to be score and set the type to integer. So we need to take in a number to do what we're doing here. And then from here, we have this variable score text block. Drag that into our scene and we'll do get. So we're going to get the score text block and drag from here and we'll do set text. This one right here. We're going to set the text when we update these score text. Now, what are we going to set it to? Well, we're going to set it to be the value of score. So go ahead and connect that there. And it's going to convert it from a number into the values it's expecting as text. Now we need to tell our HUD what to do and how to do it. Now for this, we're going to need to create something called a function. Over here on the left, you should see this function thing. Press the little plus button, and we'll call this score HUD update. And just like before, we need to create an input, but we do it on the right side over here. We'll do input, and we'll change this to score, type integer. Now, what do we actually do with this? Well, this one's pretty easy. We're going to go to the score UI widget that we saved earlier, drag this in here, and we'll do get score widget. And then here, we'll call our event we made earlier, which is score update score text. Update score text, that right there. We have that. We connect our execution pin, and then we pass in our score. There we go. Now we save this, and then we move on to the next step. In BP Player Controller, we'll make a new function, plus button, and we'll call this update score. We're going to first right click, and we're going to get HUD. This is going to get the HUD that is associated with this player controller, that is associated with the world settings. So it's going to get that. And we're going to cast to BP my HUD, connect the execution pin. This is going to get the HUD, and then it will make sure it is a BP my HUD. Then we're going to take score, and we'll do set score. Connect that there. We want score to be equal to score plus 1. So we're going to take a variable score and drag this here and do get this time. And then drag from here and we'll do plus. This will add a value to our score. We'll add 1 to it. And then we set the score to be that value. So we're updating our score text. So we get our score and we add 1 to it. So we now have 1 more point. So we now have our HUD as BP my HUD, drag over here and we'll do update score HUD update. There we go. We connect this execution pin there. We connect our score, new score there. And then that's it for this one. Compile and save. So what this is doing again is going to get the HUD. That's this thing here that we made earlier. It's going to get the HUD. Then afterwards, it will update and add points to our score. Then tell our HUD to call the score HUD update, which will tell our score UI widget to call this. Still not done though. We still have another step. When do we do this? How do we do this? Well, inside of our BP spaceship, let's go ahead and do this a little bit differently. Let's get our event begin play. And then I'm going to right click down here and I'll do get player controller. So it'll get the player controller for our character. Return value will cast to BP player controller. Connect these pins. And then from here, as BP player controller, we will do what? What do we call this function? We called it update score. So as BP player controller, we'll do update score. And now we actually have something that works. And we're doing this on event begin play so that we can see if it all connects without having to worry about trying to hit the thing. Whew, that was a lot. Let's play and see what happens. And it worked. It now says 1. It doesn't say score :1, but it says 1. Let's go ahead and fix that last bit then. So BP spaceship, we'll take these nodes that we made. Let's right click and break this link and connect these things down to event actor overlap. Connect that there. And now if we overlap something, it will give us points. We are going to need to modify this later to check to make sure it's a ring that we're hitting and not like a bomb or trap. We'll get there though. That fixes that issue. Now in BP my HUD, where we have our BP score UI, my bad, BP score UI, where we have the actual updating happening, we need to modify this to keep our original formatting. Let's delete this connection there. We're going to have to work through this a little backwards. From in text, let's drag down from here and we'll do to text string. In the string, we want to append. Append is a way of saying add to the end of. And here we have two places we can enter in text. We could do score : space, and then take our text and connect that here. This will convert for us automatically. What did we just do? This is crazy. When we call our event for update score text, we pass in the score, it will convert it into a string that we can work with. It will add score and then put the number at the end of it, then pass that in and returns it to something that the text widget can read. We'll save and compile. And now, if everything went right, we press play, it says score 0. And if I hit my ring, I have score 1. I have 1 point. That was a whole lot. I'm gonna walk through it one more time from the beginning. So first we have our BP spaceship. This, when we overlap, we'll get our player controller and then call a function called update score. Our BP player controller has this update score function where we will get the HUD, add a point to our score, and then tell our HUD to update the score. Our HUD has a function that will connect to the score UI widget, the actual text, and then call a function that's inside of there, an event called update score text, which is this right here. That was a whole lot, I know. But luckily, this is one of those things where once you learn how to do it once, you can kind of just copy and paste what you did multiple times. You can just do this again, just the same, without having to redo all of this or no. Honestly, you don't really need to know how all this stuff works. The core principles that we do want to understand is that we have to connect this things step by step in order for a lot of this to work. There's a lot of different components. This is unfortunately one of those things that's actually just straight up easier to do in C++. But for now, we'll just do this in Blueprint and be done with it. But that's it for this very, very long video. And yeah, thanks.